My name's Sam and this is the Little Greenhouse Creates. Thank you for joining me today. We are on our second card for this week's stamp set of the week, Pop-Up Petals. This is the card we're going to create. It's what I call a raised aperture card, and I'm going to slightly change it. I'm going to reverse it, so I'll show you what I mean in a moment. Then we'll see which one we prefer. So this is the card. Basically what I've done is I've taken a piece of white cardstock. I've taken an aperture out of the middle. I've raised the outside and sunk the two outcuts. Okay, so let me show you the dies. So this is, oops, doesn't want to come out, does it? There we go, it's hiding. Right, so we're using Pop-Up Petals. So this is a stamp set. We are introducing the dies. So as you can see, some of the dies are missing and they're the ones we're using today. So we've got dies for the little flower. So that's either a could be a poppy, could be a pansy, anything in that kind of luck. You've got the sunflowers. I've got the rose. You've got the two vases. You've got the head of the flower. And these we'll come to on Friday when we do our funky folds. So stick with me for those. I'm also bringing in now this is perennial postage dies. This is how I'm going to cut out my middle section. This is the one I'm using. Now you can, if you don't have this, you can cut yourself out a little aperture using your trimmer. Right, or any shape you want. It doesn't have to be a rectangle. You could use a circle, you could use a square. Any shape that you've got available, you could use. So let's bring in my supplies. So I've got a Post-it note, very important, I'm going to need that. I have got a piece of Daffodil Delight, which measures 8 inches by 5 3/4. The first layer I have is in Melon Mambo, and this measures 3 3/4 by 5 1/2. And then I have two pieces of white, which both measure 3 1/2 by 5 1/4. And as usual, most of the stamping happens on these two. So let's get the stamping out of the way first of all. Right, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to stamp Happy Birthday. I'm using the Happy Birthday from the Simply Said, and I'm going to stamp it in the Early Espresso. Stamp that up. I'm just going to check it's straight. Yeah, I'm happy with that. There we go. And that will just go up there. Okay, so there's the Happy Birthday. Then I'm going to bring in the sunflowers. Stamping those up again in the Early Espresso. That'll go into there. Done this slightly the wrong way round, but hey, we'll manage it. We will manage it. I'm going to bring in the crumb cake for the vase. Right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to layer that there. So that's covering up what I have already stamped, and I'm bringing in the vase to pop it down. There we go, to go across there. Now I'm hoping, if it hasn't, then I shall tear it up and we'll start again. No, it worked perfectly. Look at that. Lovely. Just want to make sure that my aperture fits around it, which it does. So that's good. We're all cooking on gas, as my mum would say. Right. What else am I going to add on to it? So let's add some butterflies, and we're going to do that in Coastal Cabana. I'm going to show one up there, one there, and maybe I'm just going to put this around it. Go there. I'm going to put one there. Okay. Now, if I've left myself enough room, I'm going to put another vase down the bottom here. It's on the opposite side from the one previously, but that doesn't really matter. Right, so here we go. Stamp up the vase. And I'm just going to pop it far bottom left hand corner. And hopefully I haven't put it too close to the edge. Probably have, but hey, we'll work it out. Right, so that is the outlines. Now what we need to do is colour it in. So we are going to bring in Daffodil Delight for the leaves. There we go. Stamp that up, like so. Bring that quite far forward so that I can actually see what I'm doing. I've had to put my glasses on. It's got to that stage now where glasses are needed. Yay, that's that one sorted. There we go. Then I'm going to bring in the middle section for the flowers. I'm going to do that in Melon Mambo. Ink those up. Again, bring them forward so I can see what the heck I'm doing. There we go, that's lovely. Now what you'll notice is that the leaves of my flower, I do not have an infill. So what I've done is I've got myself my Winker Stella and I've got the Coastal Cabana. If you can get a bit much onto a tiny bit there, you don't need much. Take the tip of my Winker Stella and circle it into the base of the thing. Then you can colour in your flowers. So let's do that. So we're going to do, what you'll find is your leaves will now sparkle. Obviously, if you don't want sparkle, you can just use your blend pens. It's quite easy. But I thought just for a little bit of difference today, we would use our Winker Stella. There we go. And then one more left. There. Now, to finish this off, because obviously you don't want to leave the ink on it, let's close that up. You're going to just push it on the back until it comes clean. And there it's clear. You're back to having it perfect. Right, so the next thing to do now is to bring in your washi tape. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my washi tape. I'm going to put it around my hand so that it takes off most of the stick. Otherwise, you'll find that it will tear your right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tear that now. Once I've made sure that I'm happy where it is and it's straight, I'm going to pop it down. Now, normally I would do all of my cutting at the same time, but I'll show you why. I'm going to cut this first and then I'll come back and decide what I'm going to cut next. Okay. Right, so I've run it through. I'm just going to ease that off because I don't want it to tear the paper. I love washi tape, but I don't love it when it's very, very sticky and it takes off my colour or tears my paper. And that's why it's so important just to rub it over your hand. So there is the image that we have cut out. So now we get to decide whether we can put our plate there. I think I'm not going to because that's going to cut that too much. But I do have little butterflies. So I could have one butterfly there, one little butterfly there, and then come back and do that one. So make sure your butterfly is in place. your washi tape over. Take that bit out in the middle in a second. Make sure that butterfly is in place. Take that bit out in the middle. And then I'm going to run through that through the cut machine. Okay, and we're back. So I'm just going to take this bit off gently. There we go. So I've now cut out my 3 butterflies. There's 2. There's 3. Now, if you think your butterflies are too plain, you can just give them a bit of wing castella or add the colour. Now, I'm just going to rub this over each of the butterflies, and it will just give it a little bit of twinkle. I shall bring it up to the camera in a second, and hopefully you can see how beautifully these butterflies twinkle. I'm not sure if we can see, but yeah, I think you can just see it there. So there are, there's the twinkle of the butterflies. Right, so now we need to put it all together. So the bits that have come apart, let's pop those aside over there for a second. And then what we're going to do is we're going to run glue around the edges here. Now I know this one's coming close to its end, but I wanted to make sure that I used every last drop, because what a waste it would be if I didn't. Right. Now the other one I put all the dimensionals on this side, but instead we're going to pop it the other way. That was close, wasn't it? Right, let's put that straight. Right, there we go. So that's all in place. Now what we can do is we can bring in our dimensionals. She says, where she put them? There they are, right in front of me where I can't see them. So I'm going to put one on each end and one in the middle. That bit there for a second, because I will use that bit. Take off the backs. Right, I've got a little tool here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to try and make sure that this fits in, because if it fits in there, then it should fit in everywhere else. There we go, and it raises. Do you see? Oh, if you heard that squeak, that was my tummy. Apologies. Must be hungry. Right, we're going to do the same with our butterflies. Let's bring those in. Turn them upside down. And we can put half a dimensional on each of those. So that's one in there. That one I picked up earlier. And just use a small one over here. Now, let's see what's easier. Is it easier to put the dimensional in the hole? Let's have a look. Let's pick it up. And then put your flower. I mean, if you wanted to, you could twist them so that the pink shows through. Hey, let's do that. I do like it when something else comes into my mind. Ooh. Lots of questions. Lots of questions. Right, okay, so now this can be layered onto our back of that. Where did I put that glue? There it is. Right, squeeze it down. So there we are, our aperture card. Two ways of doing it: raising the outside and sinking the focal points, or sinking the outside and raising the focal points. So which is you prefer, the one on the right or the one on the left? And then the second question is, if you did prefer the one on the left, which is the ones that are raised, should I have put the butterflies in their original holes, or does it look better with the pink showing through? They are the questions for today. Anyway, thank you ever so much for joining me. I will be back on Friday with a funky fold, so do see us then. Take care. Bye.